Giggity gang. What's going on, people? How's everybody doing? Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. I'm sorry for the delay in the episode, but last Monday was my birthday. I usually take a whole week to celebrate or kick back or relax or whatever the case may be. So I did that. And I did have an episode lined up just to throw something out there, but it really wasn't anything too special. I was just kind of showing off my wrist mirror that I ordered from eBay and, talking to the camera as I usually do. But the audio came out so bad after the fact. The new way that I'm holding the Rilo 360 camera, it's just not working as far as wind is concerned. It's giving me a better picture due to the scratches that I have on the lens, but I have to do something about the mic being exposed to the wind more, because no matter how slow I ride with it now, the way I'm holding it, it just picks up way too much wind noise. And I didn't want to do a voiceover for the last episode, and like I said, it was my birthday, so I was just like, you know what, I'll just let it be. The universe was kind of like, hey man, just take the week off. You put in enough work on the channel, you can take a week off and celebrate. So that's what I did. I have a few topics to go over in this episode, but before I start, I wanted to get into some of what happened from the last episode. I appreciate a lot of people leaving their comments either on the YouTube page or my Facebook page or on the Reddit page. I got a lot of good feedback from the Vice Needs to See This episode, and I took into account a lot of things that people were saying. I didn't really get too much feedback on the actual Vice thing as much as I thought I would. I got more feedback on what wheel I should get or if I should get a new wheel more than I got comments for the Vice part. But I kind of wanted to jump in and kind of respond to some of the comments that I got from regarding the Vice episode. One person on Reddit gave a really, really good response, and I wanted to read it now. I because it was on Reddit, there's no need for me to mention the person's name or whatever the case may be. But he chimed in and said, I don't think having one of the biggest sensationalist clickbaity rags out there reporting on the scene is a good next step for us. It's also worth noting that more popular the scene gets, the more likely we're to get slammed with governmental regulations. Just like Mick and his guests were saying on the last EVX podcast, the scene is so great right now because it exists in a legal gray area. Once it becomes popular, these things will get regulated to 15 miles an hour top speed and EUCs are going to suck. End quote. So my response to that was, thanks for your input. To some degree, I get what you're saying, but you also have to keep in mind the same regulations that they were trying to force on the dirt bike scene were extremely unsuccessful. Now, I'm not advocating for people to go out and break the law, but it's kind of already going on. And I think if we have the right people in position to help us, if it ever got to that point where regulation became a problem, we would be way better off than we are now. Now, I can definitely see them saying EUCs aren't allowed to go above the posted speed limit, which in some cases is a reasonable suggestion. But just like cars, drivers break those rules every single day. I totally understand your apprehensiveness of not wanting the sport to go global, but my fear is us getting all those regulations put on us and we're still stuck in the same position that we are now with no one in power to fight for us. That was my response. And he came back with saying that I would argue that dirt bikes on public roads is still extremely niche and even criminal adjacent activity, hence why Vice would target them with a documentary. If EUCs ever become more popular in the general populace, and then he put in quotations, I would already argue that they are far more popular than dirt bikes. We would likely see them going the way of their close cousins, the e-bikes, or even worse, what we see happening in foreign countries, being outright banned like Germany. Okay, and I responded, noted. You make a lot of good points. I will be doing a follow-up to this post once I get the rest of the community's perspectives, so I'll be including you in the comments. I'll keep your name out of the post so no trolls will get into the mix. Thanks again for your time and chiming in. And he followed back with, dude, no problem. I appreciate your video and your consideration for the future of the sport. I think about it a lot myself and love discussing it with other riders. So Yeah, I totally get what people are saying, and and the reason why I read that post specifically, because he echoed a lot of what all the people who did respond to that post were saying, was everybody's comfortable operating in the gray area, which, hey, I totally get that, totally understand that. But I also was saying to another fellow EUC rider off when I was talking to him on the phone, was that, man, it's only going to take, you see right now, these little accidents happening in public and people bumping in or hitting people, this happens to regular civilians. So nobody really cares. I hate to say it like that. Obviously, we care as a community. We don't want anybody getting hurt or us hurting anyone. But as far as the news and the politics go, nobody really cares. But all it's going to take is one EUC rider to smack a politician's daughter or hit the mayor's kid out for a ride and that kid gets hurt before they throw us on the chopping block, especially if it's around election time. Now, I hope and pray that would never happen, but it's a mathematical equation that at some point in time, we're going to bump into or hit somebody of importance. And then they're going to be like, well, what the hell is this thing? And they're going to take it upon themselves to go and, try to make a big deal out of something that's not necessarily a big deal. Now, as far as the speed thing is concerned, I totally get that. I don't want to, get on anybody who likes going fast, because I like to go fast. When I drive, when I go on vacation or when I drive out of town, if the speed limit's 65, 70 and there's no police around, I'm doing 100 and better. I've been doing that for years, though. This is not something new. This is just, I've learned to drive, fairly well over the course of these years. And, when you know how to drive really well and you know how to read traffic and you can know how to cut, and you're able to do that, Is it legal? Absolutely not. Is it dangerous? Absolutely. But if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. So I give that to all the guys who are high-speed riders, who, people complain about running red lights or whatever the case may be. Those guys know what they're doing. So, you also have to trust in the skill of the rider, of the driver, whatever you want to call it. But with that, there are a bunch of people who watch these guys do what they do, and then in their mind, they're like, oh, I can do that too. No, you can't. It's the same. I used to get in arguments with a lot of my ex-girlfriends because I noticed that, and this is not, this is just what I've seen. A lot of girls like to drive fast, but they don't know how to drive well. And what I mean by that is I get nervous when I drive into girls' will, and it's not just females. Like, they would drive very fast and they will ride people's bumpers at 65 miles an hour. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You're not giving yourself enough room if something goes wrong, and like I said, a lot of people don't think about that, and they would usually think I'm harping on them and stuff like that, but it's like, I know you don't know how to drive that well. I know your reaction time isn't fast enough to respond if something were to go haywire. When I'm doing a buck, bro, I'm leaving now, listen, there's been many times I've cut it very close with, semis coming on the opposite road and we're on a 2-lane road and I'm passing somebody, and there's times I missed death by inches, but I still knew what I was doing the whole time. I was in full control, never lost control of the vehicle or anything. And I'm not advocating for anyone to do anything reckless or dangerous at all. I'm just explaining from my experience, because I don't have the experience riding that fast on an EUC and cutting through cars, because in my personal opinion, I don't want to put myself in that much risk at this time. I'm still new to the sport. Or, maybe even a year from now, 2 years from now, I still may not be comfortable with that. Only because I just look at it as, I don't want to put my fragile 175-pound body in between 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of metal. I don't feel comfortable in my head doing that. That's part of the reason why I never owned a motorcycle. As much as I love the Need for Speed and the motorcycle was the next best choice after riding a dirt bike, whatever, every person in my life that I was close to that rode a motorcycle all ate it. all of them. And a lot of those guys they really respected the road. They really respected the machine. They weren't out here just, going balls to the wall every day. Even the one person who let me ride his bike, the first person that ever let me ride his bike, I mean, he always talked about the namaste of riding, and you got to respect the road and respect the power that you're on, and you got to respect the traffic. This guy was really, really, at least that's how he relayed bike riding life to me. And then, I didn't see this guy for like 3 months. And then when he popped back up on the scene, I'm like, yo, bro, where you been? And he was like, yo, I got in a really awful accident and he lost one of his testicles. Now, and I'm not making this up. I'm just telling you what really happened. So as soon as I heard a brother lost his balls, oh, hell no. Hell no. And I also had a very close friend lose his life on a motorcycle. So you couple all that together, it's just like, all right, in my opinion, that was the universe's way of relaying to me, bro, this may not be for you. And that's why I don't, when you see me riding my videos, I stay to the side of the road. I could easily, especially in upstate New York where we don't have the crazy amount of traffic like you do in the New York City and stuff like that. It's really easy for me to ride and dip in between cars, and I can do it. I can definitely do it. It will look great for my YouTube channel, like, oh, look at him, he's, But like I said, there's that thing of putting my body in between death. Let's just put it that way. Because it's not just about, a car hitting you from behind or whatever the case may be. I've seen plenty of videos where people are at the light chilling, just having a good old time, and then out of nowhere a car comes and rear ends, or a truck comes and rear ends the car behind them, and they get smacked in between of that. Now, what if I'm just at a light on my EUC in front of a car and that happens? So that's why, for me personally, I don't ride like that. Now, like I said, I can't tell you what's going to happen from a year from now, but I can tell you how I feel about it still. No matter how high my skill level is, I'm more comfortable riding off to the side of the road. And most of the times you see me, I will ride against traffic, even though I know a lot of people say that's just as dangerous. But I rather would see what's coming at me versus then not knowing what's going on behind me, and somebody can lose control or veer off to into the bike lane or something like that. So I'm more comfortable watching traffic come at me and staying a good distance away, that if I had to bail, if I had to jump off, I can do it away from traffic, or at least would try to do it away from traffic. So not to drag this topic on, but yeah, let me now, the reason I'm not reading the YouTube comments about the whole Vice thing is because you guys can easily just go to that episode and read those comments for yourself. But the sentiment was basically the same. People were like, be careful what you wish for, about EUCs becoming mainstream. You're going to get a lot of legislation and stuff like that. So it was basically the same. But like I said, I didn't get enough feedback directly on that particular issue where I could really like put a number scale where it was like 70 30, 60 40 or whatever the case may be. But for the few people that chimed in, like I said, on Facebook or whatever the case may be, was pretty much the same thing. They were all basically saying that they want to stay low key and operate in that gray zone, and which is cool. I totally respect that. But to be realistic here, for people to say that kind of implies that you're getting away with murder right now. And my question is, how long are you guys comfortable with getting away with murder before they bring the hatchet down on us, versus then us setting the parameters ourselves and saying, hey, us as a community, we can't police anybody else in the community. And I get that. That's part of the reason why you have so many factions in the community, and everyone's kind of, separate in their own crew, because I don't know, people don't want to be lectured to. People want to do their own thing. And that's kind of what I was saying about, even if they did put regulation down, and even if they say you guys can't go over 15 miles an hour. I mean, it sucks for all the law-abiding citizens. People who just follow the law to the letter. That sucks. But there's going to be so many people that's going to be like, catch me if you can, It's the same. Listen, my brother's a cop, and I asked him probably about, I think it was at Thanksgiving. We were talking about the whole 4-wheeler dirt bike scene that's happening here in upstate New York, where these guys just take to these bikes, take to these 4-wheelers, and they're riding them in the street all day. And I'm like, how do you guys, tackle that? And he told me out of his mouth, we're not allowed to do anything at this point. We're not allowed to chase these people because that's putting the rider at risk if we chase them. He said the only thing we can do, if we pull up behind these people and we turn our lights on and they take off and run from us, that's now they're committing a crime. And then we can, take their license plate, take pictures, and then try to find them. But we're still not allowed to pursue these people and chase these people. So you think it's going to be any different for the EUC scene? And, not everybody goes above the speed limit in the streets, So, like I said, I'm not going to drag this out or whatever the case may be. I just kind of wanted to, get some opinions and some feedback on, what people were saying. I didn't even know that Vice was considered clickbaity. I thought, I'm stupid. I just thought Vice was just, a fair publication, But once the person said what they said, I was like, damn, maybe using Vice in the title wasn't the best thing because some people may look at them as, not credible. I don't look at them that way, but I guess I totally get what he's saying, But I thought they did a very fair story on the dirt bike scene. Because they spoke on both sides. Obviously, I didn't play the entire thing because, I was just taking a clip from what they were saying. But they played the side where, you had the mayor and the police chief, talking against what, their anti-dirt bike, whatever. And you even show pictures of them destroying dirt bikes at one point. But then it also flashed back to these guys talking about how they're not hurting anybody, they're not doing anything wrong. And now, fast forward, the scene is still growing and the scene's still thriving, I'm just appreciative that you guys appreciated the episode and what I was trying to do. And by no means am I trying to force any publications to do anything. It was just a thought that I had in my head, was mostly like, it's going to go there regardless. It's going to happen regardless. And I was looking at more of the standpoint of getting us light so that way we can start getting some real sponsors. And, especially for the trick riding and the race riding situations, that were coming up and popping up all over the place. So, the next topic is, I don't know if everybody got to see Black Cobra's live stream last week when he had Panda Archie on as a guest. I wasn't familiar with Panda before. I've heard his name tossed around the community a few times, but I didn't actually know who the person was up until Black Cobra's live stream. And man, what a great episode, man. That man was dropping some serious knowledge on the group. And I didn't even know that you can put that many miles on an EUC on one EUC for that fact, if you take care of it and keep the maintenance up. So that changed my perspective on these machines a lot as well. And also just to all around him, talking about the smart BMS and if it's possible and some of the problems you will have, having a smart BMS, and also just about, us not attacking these companies. And granted, I totally get with all the fires and stuff like that. It's a hot topic. It's great for people to jump on, and you can get a lot of people chiming in. But at the same time, like a year ago, we were all buying Gotway stuff. You know what I'm saying? So for people just to turn around and start, throwing their arrows at them, it seems, I wouldn't say it's unfair, but it's just like some people aren't doing it from a just position. They're just doing it because it's a hot topic and it's just fun to get on, But aside from that, towards the end of that live stream, one of our content creators chimed in and said something very strange. Now, I could be taking this the wrong way. It's just me, the way I look at stuff, but he said that from now on, no rider that doesn't have 10,000 miles of riding experience should have an opinion on a wheel. I'll put exactly what he said up in on the screen. And I was like, man, that was, I don't know how I feel about that statement, because if you're a person that has 10,000 miles or more on your EUC and have a YouTube page, I can see, from a fatherly figure being protective of the community or these places, I can kind of see like saying, hey, you shouldn't have. No, I can't. I'm lying. It just seems like you're trying to place yourself in a bracket above everyone else, to be that you're the only authority, and the few people that you probably hang out with and ride with will be the only authorities who get to comment on a wheel, and everybody else has to just like keep their mouth shut and eat it. And then it doesn't, I don't know if this person works for any of these companies or not. No, I actually do, but I'm not. I don't know if this person works for these companies or not. I would guess that they definitely do. But it's just like, bro, that you're trying to silence people just because they don't have the same amount of miles as you on the EUC. I don't think it takes 10,000 miles to understand what's going on with a lot of these wheels, and that, yeah, some of these wheels, are coming out of the factory with some hiccups and some problems. And, even I had a problem with my Tesla when I first got it. Now, I had maybe not even 3 hours in, maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half in riding on my Tesla that had a short in it. It had a pinch wire. Now, I didn't know anything about Godway's problems before this. I didn't know anything about the pinch wire situation before this. Nothing. But I still had to take the Tesla apart, diagnose what the problem was. When I found what I thought was a problem, fix that problem, and then continue to ride and try the wheel out and make sure that it wasn't going to cut out on me again, because that's a dangerous position to be in. And it's my first brand new EUC wheel after the air wheel. So did I need 10,000 hours to come on, make a video about my experience and what went on? And I don't think I did. And this is not the first time I've heard somebody echo that sentiment in the community. But the way the first person that I heard say something like that, they were saying it completely different from the way that this guy was saying it in the live stream. So it's just like, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that, and how do you guys feel about that? Do you agree with his statement? Do you not agree with his statement? How do you feel? Because the only reason why I asked, because that live stream was full of people, and we're all having, well, I was just listening to Archie, but everyone's having conversations, on the live stream. So when he posted that, everyone saw his post. Nobody said nothing. Only one person responded with a smiley face, but I don't know if that smiley face, laughing smiley face, was to laugh at what he said, like ha ha ha, or to agree with what he said. It's hard to tell. So, it just shocked me that there's so many other EUC riders in this live stream saw what that guy said, and nobody really wanted to say anything about it. And I'm just like, that's strange. Why doesn't anybody want to say anything? Like, am I missing something here? So obviously now I have to be that guy to say something. And it's not no beef. It's not no anything. It's just so strange to me. Like I said, it seems like there was an agenda, going on there by him saying that. And I was just like, especially if Archie, who, listening to him, it sounds like he has an ass load of miles on his EUC, right? He didn't say anything like that. I can see it coming from a guy like that, maybe, but he didn't say anything like that. It's these guys who have their YouTube pages, who probably work with these companies and, have an agenda. It's like, well, I want to be the authority on who says what about a wheel, and nobody else. Picture that, bro. Picture that. So I just want to know how you guys feel on that. What's your take on that? Also, I just ordered a new tire for the Tesla. I ordered the actual 2.50 street tire for the Tesla, and I will be making another upgrade video because that video that I did, the views are you know, for my small channel, the views on that video is going through the roof. The 2.4 tire review is doing extremely well. So obviously people like seeing stuff like that, like seeing people tinker and do upgrades to their wheels. So I want to try to stay in that zone a little bit. And also, I didn't get to properly document my LED install. And now that I ordered, thanks to Duff, I watched his video when he was installing the LED lights on his veteran Sherman, and I ended up ordering the same lights and the same RF switch that, you know, does the different variations of the colors and all that stuff. So I want to put that one on my Tesla versus the one I have, which is fine. The one I have on it's fine. You know, the different modes, it only has 4 modes and they're fine. It flashes and all that stuff. It breathes or whatever. But the one that Duff has, it runs in sequence and it does a lot more than mine. So, and I also want to extend the lights a little bit further versus than having it come out of the top of the Tesla and just run down the back. I want it to kind of come out of the front half and run all the way around so it can just illuminate everything, you know, versus than just the back half. So I want to document that and then do it right this time, take it apart and have way better lighting and then use a way better camera than I did when I did the tire change video, which was just awful. I mean, the camera was out of focus for like half of that video. Really bad. So I want to do it that right. And like I said, I've noticed that people really gravitated towards that video. So I want to do more, you know, customizations, you know, for the Tesla. And having the 2.5 tire, which everyone says is impossible to put on, you're going to have to do modifications to the shell, makes it even more interesting because now I have to modify the shell. So, hey, the tire should be here in another week or so. I actually have to check the shipping and see exactly when it's going to be here. I don't think it's going to take a week, but it's going to be here. I'm not going to do it immediately because I still need to take the knobby tire off-road into some mud and stuff like that, where I haven't got to do yet because it is still freezing here. We just had an ice storm this morning, so it'll probably be another month before I do that, but it's coming. Also about the wheel. So many people commented on that from the last episode about should I get a new wheel, should I not get a new wheel. People were saying I should wait. I did decide to wait. I did find that MSP that I was gonna get, but the universe deemed it that it's not the time to do it, you know, for multiple reasons. But just the other day, I got a DM from somebody I was speaking with another wheel I was looking at. Remember, I was looking at that or the 16X, and somebody hit me up and said, "Hey man, remember that 16X you were asking me about? Well, I just lowered the price, so if you're still interested, it's still here." You know, so I'm like, oh man, and the price is right in my ballpark of what I wanted to pay for a used wheel, and it has very few miles on it. It's in extremely good condition. The guy basically had it wrapped in bubble pad the entire time. So even if it's not going to be my new main jumping wheel or whatever the case may be, it's definitely going to be a wheel that I wanted in my collection regardless, just like the Z. You know, it's just one of those wheels that I just want to have in my collection. And I heard that the 16X is probably the closest wheel to ride like the Z6 or the Z10. So that's part of the other reason why I would like to have it in my collection. Besides, it's just an awesome looking wheel in my opinion. I like fat tires, man. I just like the way they respond, you know. But aside from that, that's all I have to report for this episode. Thanks for hanging out. I was trying to make this a short video, but it still seems like it's gonna hit that 30-minute mark. But yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate everybody chiming in. I appreciate everybody viewing. All my new subscribers, thank you. Welcome. All my old subscribers, much appreciated. You guys just hanging on and viewing and chiming in, and you know, giving me suggestions and being so helpful to a new rider. So it is much appreciated, and I will make sure I pass that down to any other new riders or new, you know, channels that I come across. I try to subscribe to every single channel that I can find that's related to EUC, even if I don't get to comment on everybody's video all the time, but I definitely try to chime in. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. And you guys have a wonderful week, an amazing weekend, and I will see you on time, probably next Sunday with a new episode. All right, peace.